After making $30 million in the online game, you learn a lot about what to do, but you also learn a lot about what not to do. And I'm going to share with you something that I have consistently done that is not the right thing to do. That every time I do it, it causes me pain and suffering, not just in making money, but in life. And if you can focus on not doing this thing as much as possible, you will make a lot more and you will win a lot faster. So a perfect example of this is what happened to me 2 nights ago. I was writing some copy for a new marketing campaign that we were going to create for my company. And it was about midnight, and it was on my mind because, today I'm recording it. And so what I like to do when I'm trying to create stuff that makes me money is I like to take a walk. So I go downstairs, and the way my building works is you have to have a key fob in order to get in and out. Well, in order to get in. And I couldn't find the keys, and my wife was asleep, and I didn't want to wake her up. And I didn't really put the effort into finding the keys. And so I thought, well, you know what? I'll just call myself on the call box and let myself back in, which normally works. So I walk down out onto the street, and I walk around for about 30 minutes. And I'm sitting there on my phone, writing copy, talking into the phone, adjusting it. I know that seems like a really weird way to write things like books or marketing, but I literally do it. I walk around, and that's how I do it. It's just my vibe. So about 30 minutes later, I decide, all right, I'm going to come back and go to bed. So I come up to the door, and I dial the number on the call box, and it's nothing. No dial tone, nothing. By this point, it's roughly 12:30 at night, and I can't get in my building. For the next 2 hours, I'm trying to steal the ladder from the construction crew next door and prop it up and see if I can somehow get into the upper level on the garage and get in. That didn't work. I realized really quickly as I'm standing there in sandals that I was probably going to break my leg if I pursued this endeavor any further. And so I tried texting my wife, but she always puts her phone on airplane mode, so nothing. And it rolls around to about 2 a.m., and I'm still stuck outside of my building. And keep in mind, this is a $3 million penthouse. And it's just so humbling to be stuck outside your $3 million penthouse, unable to get back in on the side of the street. And it all was because I did not grab my keys. And so I finally resigned myself. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get a hotel. So I walk over to the Hollander Hotel, which is right next door. And they tell me that I cannot rent a hotel room because I don't have a physical card. All I had was my phone, which I had Apple Pay on. And frustratingly, I walked to the next hotel. Well, that hotel's under renovation for half of the floors, and so they had no vacancy. And they wouldn't, same deal, they needed a card. So I walk over to the Marriott. Now, I have a Marriott Bonvoy app. And so I walk in, and by this point, it's like 2:45, right? And I go up to the guy, and I explain my whole situation. And I hadn't gotten a haircut at that time. I hadn't shaved, still hadn't shaved. So I looked like this homeless dude just coming in off this. It didn't look good. And I explained this situation to him, and he's like, well, if you can pay through your Marriott Bonvoy app, we can get you a room. So I bring up the app. I realize there's no card attached to it. So now I have to sift through my Slack messages, find my photos with a picture of my credit card. I find the card, right? I'm adding it. I'm doing all this stuff. This takes 20 minutes. And I'm showing the guy my ID on my phone. I'm like, look, see the address? It's right next door. What other reason would I have to stay at a hotel right next to where I live if what I told you was not true? So eventually I convinced this guy to give me the room, even though I didn't have my ID, even though I didn't have a physical card, but I had the Bonvoy app. So he gives me a room, and I go up to my room, and around 3 a.m., I pass out. I get up the next day at like 9. I normally get up at like 5, so I just shoot my whole day down the drain. My wife is like, what is happening? Just horrible situation. And it was all because I broke the advice my father used to try to drill into my head when I was a kid. And that was those that fail to plan, plan to fail. I went downstairs with something as simple, as meaningless, as trivial as taking a walk. And I made the mistake of planning that little teeny thing properly, which caused me so much trouble. And imagine if you can not plan a walk properly and get in that much trouble, how much trouble can you get in when you don't plan your business or your life properly? Every single time I have done something in business or even in life that I already knew how to do, that I already was good at, that I already made millions with, that I already was a pro at, heck, that I already even taught other people and they made millions with. Because I didn't plan it that one time, I just wung it, I failed. Or it didn't do anywhere near as good as it could have. Amateurs wing it, professionals prepare. And unfortunately, when you get good at something, you start to feel like you don't need to prepare. You start to feel like you can just wing it because, hey, you're good at it. You've done it before. You've done it a million times. Why can't you just do it off the top of your head? And sure, it'll work somewhat, maybe, but it will never work as good as when you sit down and properly prepare. Here's what I would do if I were you. I would come up with a way to do something great, or I would look back on a way that you've done that has made something great happen. And I'd ask myself, how did I prepare? What did I do? How can I make sure that I do this properly, but I don't overthink it? And if you can just stick to that process of preparation each time, why do you think Batman beats every other superhero no matter what? Because he has prep time, man. He has prep time. You need prep time. So that is my advice for today. I really hope you take it, and I hope it helps you. Godspeed.